Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. Really excited to be able to introduce our next guest. Just can't wait for you guys to be able to meet her here in just a moment. As you know, this episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by Moxie Pest Control. We're doing a lot of the same things that all of the successful businesses out there are doing. We're growing a lot. We're very grateful for that. It's been a difficult last 2 years with the pandemic, and we're very fortunate to be able to have some of the challenges that we have in terms of growth. And so we grow via SEO, PPC, mailers, organic growth, referrals, all the ways that you might think of. The last couple of years, we've had a lot of great success growing via acquisition. And so if you're specifically in the Arizona market and are listening or know somebody that has 3, 4, 5+ trucks on the road and is looking to be able to exit their business, we'd love to be able to talk with them. We've had so many great success stories in just the last 24 months of being able to help owners transition to the next chapter of their life, whatever that might be, whether it's more beach time with grandkids, time to travel. And we're really paying top dollar for a lot of these companies. And it's even surprised a lot of the business owners that we've talked to. And so they can reach out to me directly. They can email me at clark@moxiepestcontrol.com. The best way is to probably text me, though. And my personal cell is 480-254-9730. You can also give me a phone call. We would love those introductions. Our next guest, I've been so excited to be able to have her on for, probably the last 6, 7, 8, 9 months or so. It's Dylan Clark. She is the owner of Whiplash Queen. You can go to whiplashqueen.com. I've always told people that if I wasn't doing what I'm doing in business and pest control, I would be in the beauty industry. They probably wouldn't let me in, because I'm me. And they're like, look, this isn't your kind of thing. Maybe just stick with, other stuff. But it is just such a fascinating business model. And Dylan has carved out an incredible niche inside of the beauty industry as it relates to lashes. And so can't wait to be able to talk more with Dylan, learn more about her story, and just how she's absolutely crushing it right now in her business. Dylan, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. You've always been an entrepreneur I looked up to, and you've always been one of my biggest cheerleaders. So I'm really excited to be here. And yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
Hey, it's going to be great. So let's get right into it. I mean, a lot of the things that people like to know the most or kind of right out of the gates is just kind of what is the story? I mean, it wasn't always the way that it is now. I mean, most great stories of success start with humble beginnings. What was kind of your path? How did you start? How did you get into the beauty business in the first place? And then specifically, I mean, lashes. So what's been some of your path?
I always knew I wanted to run a business because my dad's an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur. I have a lot of traits from him, and I always looked up to him. So I always kind of knew I wanted to run my own business, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And actually, from a young age, my best friend and I would dream about opening up a salon someday. But high school came, and I just felt the pressure. I need to go to college, get a degree. And I just knew business was a good route. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I actually got a full ride scholarship to Eastern Arizona. It's a small town out east. And I told myself, I don't want to take a penny from my parents. I had actually never had a job, so I knew it would be interesting, but I knew I was a hard worker. So I got out there. My best friend was out there, and she hooked me up with a job. And it was at this little fast food joint. And it was great because she worked with your college hours. And side note, EA worked with ASU. They were a community college, but they allowed you to get your bachelor's through ASU for a third of the price. So I had my full ride, and then I was going to get my bachelor's in administration, and my dad was so happy. So I get this job, and it was just awful. The girls who worked there had been there for 20, 25 years, and I was awful at shorthand. I would drive them absolutely nuts. I would call my mom crying every night, leaving there smelling like hamburgers, right? going to hang out with college boys, and I felt like I smelled like hamburgers, and I would like get notified every shift that she'd be like deducting 30 cents out of my paycheck because I'd forget to charge for like a piece of cheese on a hamburger, which, by the way, who charges 30 cents for a piece of cheese? Anyways, it was just awful, and I don't do well taking orders from other people either. And so I would honestly call my mom crying all the time on my like drive home back to our little college house. And one day she calls me up and she's like, I'm on Facebook. There's this girl, and she's selling a lash training, a massage table. And if Dad and I buy this, will you please stop calling me every night crying? And I was like, yes, like I would get my lashes done at the time. I was like, I'll do it. So I take the lash training, and honestly, the rest is history. It was really hard in the beginning. I would make my roommates, we were all living together in a college house, and we had this nasty hand-me-down jean couch that had who knows what on it. And I would make them lay on the jean couch, and I would stack up my textbooks with my little like Target $20 study lamp and our hard kitchen chair. And I would just like in all my free time, I was practicing lashes because I wanted to get out of that job so bad. So literally in all my free time, I kept that job because, again, I didn't want to take a penny from my parents for rent or groceries. I wanted to make it on my own, which granted, I'm like forever in debt to my parents for getting me that lash training. And then eventually, like I was shocked. I started building clientele with college girls, my friends' roommates. And like fast forward about a year and I saw the money in it. Like who would have thought there would be money in lashes, right? And I like fell in love with it. I hated it at first, but I fell in love with like just helping other girls feel pretty. And so I'll never forget the phone call. I called my dad. I was one credit away from getting my associates. I'm shaking in the car, and I called him to tell him I'm dropping out of college because I was like, this is for me. I realized I can run a business. I don't necessarily need college. I probably should go to college. That'd probably help me. But I was like, I'm done. Like my business is growing. I want to lash full time. So I got the courage to call him. I gave him a heart attack and I dropped out. And this is what I've been doing ever since.
Was he just so sad? I mean, so devastated to hear that? Or how did that go? How was that call?
It was like 8 years ago. So like there wasn't social media. The like beauty industry wasn't built up what it is today. And so I think he heard like, you're going to drop out of college to do lashes full time. I'm like, yeah, Dad, it's going to be awesome. So he did have a little bit of a heart attack, but he has been my biggest cheerleader ever since.
That is so funny. So, I mean, I love the jean couch. I love that you're like propping your clients up on textbooks and I mean, trying to make it as comfortable as possible. And we'll kind of fast forward here, I mean, in a little bit, but what were some of those beginning days like? Would you lash and work every day? Did you have your clientele built up, I mean, immediately? Did you start advertising on social, or did the first kind of clients roll around because of word of mouth and people loved what you were doing, with their friends and how you were making them feel and look?
It was actually really rocky in the beginning. I actually ended up getting a second job. So I was going to college and then I had that job and I got a second job so I could buy more product and stuff. I actually started working at a CrossFit gym, which I hated that too, but it, put food on the table and allowed me to invest a little bit more in my business. So it started out just practicing on all my roommates, and I feel like I've damaged their lashes for life. It was not pretty. And my first lash training, so grateful for it, so grateful for my parents, but it was so awful, and I didn't know it at the time because like social media and the internet isn't what it is today. So I actually self-taught and went through a lot of like trial and error that first year. So yeah, it was rocky. And then, my friends were so nice to be like my hype girl and, tell their friends. And so I was able eventually like to get better. But yeah, in the beginning, it was rocky. I would even eat, I remember a couple of weeks, I lived off like PB&Js and then bean burritos so that I could literally save my money to get like better product. And again, I was just so stubborn. I did not want to take another penny from my parents. So it was a little rough in the beginning and it was all word of mouth. Like Instagram wasn't a thing really back 8 years ago. Facebook wasn't a thing. Like I was pretty much, yeah, it was rocky. But
so I mean, PB&J and burritos. I mean, that's like the balanced meal right there. I mean, that, if I could have my way every day, that's exactly what I'd eat for all 3-4 meals. So I mean, that decision was made about 8 years or so ago. I mean, when did you officially like create your business? Because it was kind of like a side hustle at first, but you knew that there was like a lot of potential. You kind of fell in love with it and saw the earning potential, and that could be a good thing for you. I mean, when did you officially start the business? And then walk us through, I mean, the last 7, 8 years. I mean, we know where you've been, and then what is the company? What does the business look like today?
So I wouldn't say I got like serious about like the business side up until 5 years ago. There's that trial and error like that first year, and then about like year two is when I decided to quit college and like go all in, and I'm going to do this. And then I got married, and it was shortly after that I decided like, hey, I don't want to just be a lash artist. And I like started like really dreaming, and I wanted to open up a salon. I wanted to start lash training. So I'd say about 5 years ago is when I got serious about it and started making it a business and, writing my goals down um, and, researching. And that's when the social media started becoming like more hot, and there's like more resources at my fingertips. And I just like dove all in because I couldn't get my dreams off my brain.
And so it started with you, a couple of your girlfriends in college. And then what does the business look like today? Is it still just you? Do you have people that you work with? Tell us a little bit about the studio that you've been in the last few years.
So I've actually I don't lash full time as much anymore. I found that I love the education side of lashes. So I've transitioned more into the education side of lashes, and then also made my lifelong dream since I was 8 years old come true of owning a salon right here in Mesa, Arizona. And so I do lash. I'll always keep my hand in lashes because if I'm going to train in something, I feel like I need to make sure I'm staying up to date with all the trends. But I have found that like my true passion really is teaching. I'm so grateful for lashes. Like the fulfillment from that was incredible. I've met some of the most amazing clients, and there's no better feeling than helping someone else, boost their confidence. But I actually have always wanted to be a teacher since I was little too, and I've always wanted to do something where I can help others. So I wanted to basically provide lash trainings that I wish I had, and I actually specialize in teaching lash trainings like girls who have no lash experience like me, who are starting from the ground up. And that is what is so fulfilling to me, is like helping girls believe in themselves, like realizing they can, make six figures from just lashing and make their dream careers a reality. So I would say now I'm not so much behind the massage table lash chair. I'm more on the education side.
And so, Dylan, I mean, you've probably seen it all. You've been in business long enough. And certainly with your clientele, like what is one of the worst things you've ever, I mean, I don't know a lot about like lashes or anything like that, but I mean, have you worked with people that have like burned their lashes off, or
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
like what's one of the worst things that you've seen, and like how tell us about that.
I have to tell you one of the worst stories. So it was before I was married, and I was doing, you're not supposed to do this, but I was lashing out of my house out of the time. And I was doing a lot of college girls here from ASU. And honestly, they're great because they like helped me build my clientele. You do one and you get all the sorority girls. But they would come like hungover or no show, or, pay you $5 in quarters. I remember I had this girl come, and she was like completely hungover. And I could tell she was like pale. She was not feeling good. And so she lays on my table. She's sweating. I could tell something's not right. And she's like, I got to go to the bathroom. She gets up, and I can just hear her like barfing her brains out in my bathroom. And I'm like dying. And she comes back in, and I'm like a people pleaser, especially back then. Like I've gotten a lot better at that. But she comes back in, and she's like, hey, can we keep going? And I'm like, just, like you can like see it. It was so gross. And I totally kept lashing her, and she leaves, and I go in my bathroom, and there's throw up everywhere. And I was like, oh.
Hopefully she left a really, really big tip, because she probably forgot to.
Yeah, it was awful.
So, I mean, in the industry, Dylan, like what are some of the most common mistakes that you see in the beauty business or in the lash business? What are people not doing right, whether it's an approach or a technique, or what are some of the most common mistakes you see?
Not using social media enough. Actually, I was guilty of this too, because I was around before social media was like huge, right? And then it started like becoming the thing. And I think we all knew back then, like, if you're not jumping on the social media train, this is like where we're headed, right? Social media is it for advertising. And I hated that. And for a long time, I fought it, even though I knew there's tons of opportunity in it. But when I finally jumped on that social media train, honestly, that's like the foundation of my whole business. And it's free. Like most of the social media, you know, outlets are like completely free, which is I like make my girls who are starting from scratch, you know, who don't usually have two pennies to rub together like me, like take advantage of that instead of like looking at it as a bad thing. If you can take advantage and learn how to use it, it's like one of the best free marketing tools. And I wish I jumped on it even sooner.
So like people are your students or like your ideal client that's looking to, I mean, get into the lash business. What are like the biggest barriers of entry for them? Is it time? Is it money? Is it, I mean, what keeps people from, from kind of pursuing that dream?
I think just starting. I'm grateful my mom taught me that you just start and you just pick up the pieces later. Just freaking jump. That's the hardest part. And then you can pick up the pieces later. When I'm talking to girls who want to become lash artists, like that is the biggest, like they're in their own way most of the time. And if there's anything I've learned in the last like 5 years where I've really like gone all in with my business, it's like no one knows what the crap they're doing. And usually once you just start and you commit yourself, like the pieces fall into place. You somehow stumble along the right resources, the right people, and it just falls into place. And the hardest part is just starting. And so I wish people knew that. Like none of us really know what we're doing in the beginning. You just jump and then we figure it out.
Just figure it out. I mean, is there like either a company or a firm or like a mentor of yours that is like doing it really, really right? It doesn't even have to be in like the beauty or the lash business, but like, are there entrepreneurs or people that you like draw inspiration from as far as it relates to, either advertising or marketing on social media or just like business in general? I know that you lean on your parents have been great inspiration for you, but are there those in the industry that you either look to or draw kind of inspiration from?
Yeah, there's a girl, her name's Lorena and her name's Dear Lash Love on Instagram at Dear Lash Love. She's incredible. And I've followed her like since my beginning Instagram days. And she's like my lash crush. I've like watched her build like different side hustles from the ground up. And like one of the biggest things I think I admire her is like from day one, 8 years ago, she's stayed true to herself and she's just like a true innovator and leader. And she's like so savvy with marketing, so savvy with lashing, like running a salon, all her little businesses she builds up. Like I always am like taking notes and trying to like apply it to my stuff, like my stuff I'm working on. And then also there's another girl named The Skinny Confidential. She's huge. She's incredible too. She's like the marketing queen. She's so like genuine and real, just says it how it is. And like people love that. They're drawn to that. I'm drawn to that. She's just so like transparent and real. And yeah, I really look up to her too.
Well, and people respond to authenticity, right? And people can like sniff it out from a mile away if someone's being disingenuous or not true or not being true to themselves. They can see that from a mile away. I mean, if people are out there want to become more involved, either with you or in other places, like what besides just starting, like how would someone do that? How would someone get more information? I mean, your website is whiplashqueen.com. It's an awesome site, by the way. I really, really like it. But I mean, how do people get involved in that if they want to, if they want to do that?
Honestly, emailing me or texting me, I'll jump on a phone call with you. I love to help, whether you're going to take a lash train with me or not. I've been in, girls' shoes. So, honestly, texting or emailing me, which I'm on top of every single day.
What's your number?
480-334-7536. And then my email is whiplashqueenllc@gmail.com. And it is me on the other end of that email, by the way.
Well, sometimes it's not. And I know, Dylan, that the last 3-4 years, like you've really ramped up. I mean, you've hired like experts in their field as far as it relates to marketing, tweaks and adjustments with your website, social, different offerings. And I know that.
Hey, that's thanks to you. You referred E-Myth to me, the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Yeah.
And wow, I think I read that a year and a half ago. After that, I hired my salon manager. I have a girl who helps me keep my students organized. I have a girl who does run an email, not the email I just gave, but yeah, like thanks to you, I've gotten help and realized I can't be a one-man show all the time.
No, I love that. Well, so you mentioned Michael E. Gerber's E-Myth. Any other, I don't know if you listen to other podcasts or audiobooks or any other like materials or resources that you draw either education from or, inspiration from that have been really helpful to you throughout your career so far?
Yeah, my brain literally goes back to 3 years ago. You planted the seed in my brain of Grant Cardone, and he has a book called The 10X Rule. And you're like, you need to read this book. Actually, you brought it over like the next day because I think I went to you and I was just kind of stuck. I like read that book within a couple of nights, and I kid you not, like that is like one of the most pivotal moments in my business. Was 3 years ago. Reading that book, it was eye opening. After that, I'd wake up at 4 a.m. Stay up till like 11 p.m. like super long days, and actually started making my dreams come true. That have been sitting on the back burner for a long time. So I feel like I'm in debt to you forever because it sounds silly because it's just a book, but that 10X Rule by Grant Cardone was like pivotal for my lash career.
I love it. No, he is great. Grant is crazy and awesome and polarizing, and you either love him or you hate him. And he has some really good stuff out there and some really good one-liners. As we kind of wind this thing down, Dylan, any last either words of wisdom or inspiration or things that you'd like to leave with those that are listening?
Just start. Like, you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. You don't have to have $1 million. Like, I was in college with 2 pennies to rub together on a nasty jean couch. Just start. I wish I would have started a long time ago. And nowadays you have so much free resources at your fingertips before you even like start becoming a lash artist or, investing in a lash training. There's like amazing podcasts out there, YouTube, even Instagram and social media. There's like so much you can learn if maybe you can't, take a lash training yet and start your lash career. But that's like my biggest advice. Just start. You can do it. Yeah.
Well, and you also said it too, like it's never been easier to start or cheaper to start. There's so many free resources. You can literally learn how to build a home from the plumbing to foundation to framing to roof on YouTube. You have to pay for all of that stuff, right? But like if you don't know how to do something, there's so many free resources out there anymore. It will just teach you and show you how to do it. The other thing that I think has always fascinated me about what you do in the industry is just it's just reoccurring revenue. This is a maintenance kind of thing. You're going to be seeing your clients every week or every month or every 6 weeks, whether it's touch-ups or new clients or whatever else. And so
like I had people laid off from their job who would come to me still even after COVID and put lashes before like their groceries. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And so like, so I run a pest control company. You're in the beauty business, specifically lashes, right? Guess whose bill is not getting paid first when things go badly? The pest control bill. They're like, see a pest control bill, see all these other bills, literally see a food bill. They're like, we are not canceling what makes us feel good, beauty and lashes, and we're not canceling our Netflix subscription. Like, what are we going to do with all of this time? And so I think that it's nuts. And I think kind of like as we round it out too. So, I think that you do what Deion Sanders said years ago is that, when you feel good, you play good. When you play good, they pay good. And so, you're helping women feel empowered and confident and just feel really, really good about what they're doing. Dylan, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for being on the show. I think that you totally rocked it. And again, if people need to get in touch or learn more, go to whiplashqueen.com. You can call Dylan or text her. She threw a number out there just about 10 minutes or so ago. So fast forward and go listen to that. And just really, really appreciate you being on. I know your time is very valuable and very, very limited. Thank you for spending some of it with me today.
Thank you, Austin. It was such a pleasure being here.
Okay, you got it. And thanks to all of you that are listening. Appreciate you tuning in. Tune in once a week. We're dropping these every week. We've got great, great guests just like Dylan and others that own businesses, are presidents or CEOs of businesses that have just been there, done that, and are extremely successful today. So tune in. Appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. Create a great day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.